Hello, I hope you guys are doing amazing. I am Akitori. My stool keeps making some weird noises. Okay. Anywho, today I am here for fun, for vibes and stories. Mimi ni mtu wa kuchapa story guys. Mtanielewa, mtanikubali nilivyo. Yep. Yeah, so today I want to talk about blended families. Because in this day and age, I know there are many people out there who are in single parent homes or are running single parent homes, and maybe there is questions about whether or not you can be able to manage to move on, number one, to run a successful blended situation. And I'm not saying that, oh, I've got this right and oh my god, you guys can come to me for any advice. No, I'm saying I can share what has worked for me, and I can be able to or try to encourage other people out there who are thinking it's not even possible to be in my shoes. Yeah, so most of you, or the people who've been following me for some time, or those who know me, know that I am a mother to a 14-year-old girl that I had just before I graduated uni, so I can say in uni. And I did not end up with her father, so I raised her on my own as a single mother. And let's unpack that situation first. When you have a child with someone, usually the hope is that you have that child and raise the child together. Like by the time you're making a decision, you're making the decision with the hope that we are gonna do this together. But not all circumstances end up like that. And normally when that is the situation, right, there is a lot of anger and bitterness that goes into a separation that leaves a child. Obviously, the mom feels jilted, the mom feels used, the mom feels ameharibiwa. You feel like you're damaged goods, if I may say. You feel like you made a mistake, because the natural order is that you're supposed to finish school, get married, then have kids, and probably get a job first, then get married, then have kids. But when you distort that order, there is a lot of shame that comes with that. There is a lot of pain. There is a lot of being looked down upon, I will say. There is a lot of, especially in the dating scene. Ooh, dating as a single mother is ouch, I must say. There are a lot of situations where people will actually look down on you or actually consider you damaged goods. They feel like they're doing you a favor, if I may say. And if you approach these situations or the dating scene with a mindset of you are damaged, you're going to attract a lot of, I'm sorry to say, but a lot of narcissism, a lot of opportunists, because they're coming, wanakuja ni kama wamenunua second hand. Unajua? Hawakuchukui ni kama wamenunua brand new. It's like wamenda mtu mmoja mwenye hana mtoto ni LC Waikiki, alafu kuna we ni toy market, if I may say. And that's an unfortunate situation, because I want to approach it now from the perspective of God and salvation, if I may say. You see, I don't think anybody, and I'll speak for myself, I didn't go into that situation with a lot of wisdom. I was definitely a very broken person by the time I was getting myself into that space, and I believe that the father of my child was as well. We weren't really making good decisions, guys. It was not the time or the place to be doing the things that we were doing. And what happens is, by the time God brings a child to earth, you need to know, or rather, this is what helped me forgive myself and let go of that situation I created, not the child I created, the situation I created before its time. God is very intentional about who he wants on this earth. And the creation of a child means that my child is worthy, and God knew her before she was even created in my womb. So my child is worthy. And me getting into the healing stage, or the places where I healed enough to be able to move on with my life, I had to first of all understand that, okay, that God does not create things he doesn't want. See, mpaka hapo tuko sawa? Alright, let's move. So yes, I did have a child, and now the knowledge that I have is that my child is supposed to be here and she's wanted, and God was very intentional even in my mistakes. Even when you're messing up, by the way, God is part of that story. There are many circumstances and many situations where even in the Bible, people messed up. A good one, let's speak about one. Let's speak about David. Right now I'm reading 2 Samuel. In 2 Samuel, David done hooked up with somebody's wife and then got the guy to die because he was too ashamed to face the fact that he done hooked up with her, and then he got her pregnant. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it there. But let me tell you, I'm not encouraging people to go out into the world and make mistakes. No, I'm saying that God is such a merciful God. He is there even in your mistakes. There is nowhere God will not come and find you. He will come and find you even in hell, guys. He'll come for you. Yeah, so I digress. Let's go back to the topic. Niliwaambia mimi ni mtu wa kusema, mimi ni mtu wa mastori. So then there is I've talked about the child who is loved, accepted. She is, honestly guys, she's my baby. She's my little princess. She is me. She's mine. Yeah. There's nothing I can do about it. I love her with everything I have. I love my children so much. So, okay, we move. I digress again. Let's go back to the point. The second thing or factor that I want to talk about is the father of the child. So, guys, there is so much pain that comes off breaking a situation like that, like I mentioned before. There is obviously that feeling of we should have done this together. Like, you need to carry your weight. You need to suffer just as much as I am suffering taking care of this child. And that opens up the wound. It opens up wounds of bitterness, of anger. The spirit of anger inakujaza sana, and it is so painful. And guys, I don't blame anyone for feeling the way they feel when they have had to raise a child on their own and they know that they didn't do this alone. When it comes to that situation now where you are left alone with a child and you are in a space where you're going through rejection, you're going through shame, and then you're also going through anger and bitterness because, umeniharibu, kumbuka akukuharibu, uli participate willingly. So umeniharibu. Number 2, unless you had this baby through circumstances that are not correct, but normally if you consented, you equally participated, guys. And then umeniharibu, umeniwacha. Now that umeniwacha is the painful part. Unfortunately, guys, the bitter pill that I had to swallow is that I cannot force someone else to react or do anything without them being willing participants. And let me tell you, I can go to court, I can do this, I can do that, but them showing up correctly is a decision that they have to make on their own. That is a journey that someone has to take on their own. And while I had to take my own journey of a lot of anger and a lot of bitterness, what then came out of that was that I showed up in situations incorrectly. I did date people who are opportunists, manipulators, who are not nice people. I'm just going to say that. However, I did play a role in being in toxic situations. I showed up badly. I showed up not loving myself. I showed up not knowing who I am, not knowing whose I am, not knowing my purpose. I showed up with pain, with anger, with past baggage that I was coming to throw on someone else. And while those people were not such great people, I had my role to play because one, I was staying, two, I was staying when I was damaged, and I was also, accepting to be treated a certain way. So I had to go through a journey of forgiving myself and forgiving them for how they showed up for me. So what does this look like? I had to go through a process of understanding why we attract the things we attract, the characteristics and the traits that we have. So when you are in a space where you are, sorry, I have to cough, guys. Sorry, guys. When you are in a space where you are feeling like you are not good enough, when you are broken, when you are coming from rejection, all the way from childhood coming up to this point where now you have another baby, you have a baby, you've been rejected, and then you're trying to move on, but you haven't dealt with the wounds of shame, of rejection, and your identity has been distorted. Those usually make you show up badly, and that is the reason you need to address some of these things. Because when you come from a place where you already see yourself as damaged goods and you see yourself as unworthy, you start to settle for less. You might have a rich boyfriend and he drives nice cars and he's the CEO of Nini Nini, but in terms of treatment, he will show up based on what you allow. Makes sense up to that point? Okay, we move. What do I mean? Say, for example, we are working in a supermarket and I'm dating boyfriend A. He is a CEO, he's doing so well, but he knows I am person B and person B has a baby. And I say, fine, on this aisle, while you're picking up your stuff for your house, let me pick up some diapers. And he goes like, what do you mean? You'll feel like, okay, maybe I am embarrassing that person because, it's not their baby and whatnot. So you start to lower your standards because you're already like, he must be doing me such an amazing favor being with me, yet nimeharibiwa, yet mtu yata si wake, just for the fact that akona mimi. He must be doing me such a huge favor. And what I want to say is, guys, it doesn't matter what has happened to you. It doesn't matter what you have done. Your identity is not based on your mistakes. Your identity is the original thing you came in with. And the original thing you came in with when you came straight into this world in that delivery room is that you are perfect, had no mistakes, you are already loved. Like, guys, you have to maintain that identity. The fact that we keep distorting this identity in this journey called life is what the devil uses against us, for us to feel so unworthy and to continue to collect damage and brokenness as we go. So one thing you have to rectify, and which I am consistently rectifying, it's a continuous job, is I continue to tell myself, imagine, number one, mtoi wangu alikuwa anatakikana, like alikuwa anapendwa, alikuwa anafaa akuwe hapa. My child is a loved and deserving child who is worthy is nothing anybody can tell me about her existence. Number two, I created that situation, and I am accepting of this situation. So if you want me, you will be accepting of this. You feel me? Yes. So I had to fight with rejection, not just from this one source, which is the brokenness of my situation with her father, but also all the way from the back, because I got myself into that situation with him because obviously there was something wrong with me from the word go. So you start with the shaming and forgiving. There is no shame. Christ died on the cross, yeah, so that we can remove all those things, all that shame, all that blame, all those things. They are not your portion because someone took them on for you. I don't even want to explain further than that. So because whatever identity was being attached to me for having a baby out of wedlock, I have already removed. Me, I'm walking in God's favor, in God's grace, that I come now as two. And it's more blessings. Yeah, that's what's up. Sorry guys, I have a cold. So, sorry. Where were we? Yeah. So now we have dealt with the fact that now there is something that has come with. There is a forgiveness that needs to be done for yourself. You need to tell yourself, hey, look, I didn't show up correctly, Pale. And the reason I didn't show up correctly is because maybe I showed up not feeling so proud of myself or so good about myself, and I made a mistake. But that mistake came out with a blessing, and now I need to forgive myself for the role I played there. Nilijipeleka huko na nika participate. Si fault yake kabisa. Pia mimi niliparticipate. Now kuna yeye. Yeye pia hakushow up vizuri. And this person, because they didn't show up correctly for you, you have to now forgive them. This is the hard one. I don't know whether forgiving yourself or forgiving the other person is the hard part. Guys, you tell me. You let me know which one is harder. So now you're saying, before I even explain this, I want to give a story, just like a short story of what happened to me. My mom used to pray every single day for the father of my child, and I used to get so mad because my mom was my best friend, and I used to ask her over and over again, Mom, kwa nini unaombea adui yangu? Why are you praying for someone who broke my heart, who left me? Why? And she used to tell me, you'll understand one day, mommy. You'll understand one day. One day, utaelewa ni kwa nini nilikuwa namuombea. It is later when I met my husband, that is when she finally told me why she used to pray. Because at that point, even if she started explaining, I would have just had a bitter argument with her. So, what my mom was praying for was that he finds the heart to find peace with what has happened between me and him. To find peace with the fact that we created a child. To find peace so that he can come back and build a relationship with a child. To find peace so that he can forgive me. And to find peace so that he can forgive himself. And number two, that I find peace so that I can forgive him. Why? Because watu who move on, guys. Watu who move on. And moving on with anger and bitterness from that person towards me would have been difficult. He would have made it harder for my husband to be in my life while he's anywhere in existence. I would have made it harder for anyone to be in his life as long as I exist, because I'll be coming from a place of bitterness. Yet it is, what can we do about tunaweza mrab tumtoe this child? We cannot eliminate her. She is here and she exists. And if we continue to live the rest of our lives fixed in one season, a season that already happened. Manze, when will we finally enjoy what is left of our lives? And because there was coming a time that my mom had seen, I don't know if God had shown her, my mom had seen there was going to be a space in my life to move on, to get married, to have another baby. There was no room for that energy that we were creating. And because there is a space for him to move on, then there was no room for me to show up badly for him. So what happened? This prayer, these maumbis of my mother, they worked. They took time, but they worked. Because many years later, I don't want to be specific with the number because, guys, I don't want to discourage you, but many years later, I finally just said, nimechoka kukasirika. Acha jibambe, by the way. Akitaka kurudi, acha arudi. Akitaka kukaa huko asirudi, ni sawa. But akirudi, nataka tuheshimiane. So I took on what my mom was doing and I started to pray for him. And I kept telling God, you know, God, please be there for him. Please help him to forgive me and let me go. And help me to forgive him and let him go. That way, we only focus on her. Do you know that that prayer was answered by God? It is a living answered prayer for me. The father of my child is fully aware and has met my current husband, and they respect each other. He respects me. We have a very respectful working relationship, which nikisema relationship, do not mistake me. It is, we only talk about the child, only the things that we have divided roles for. I am aware of his situations and I respect that, and he is aware of my situation and he respects that. We have clear set boundaries. I do not call him casually. I do not text him casually because it's not even about him. It's about the person that is in my home. He doesn't come to my house casually and I don't go to his house casually. I do not speak to him without telling my partner. And I do not do anything without telling him it involves my husband. We are going to a school meeting, the three of us. We are doing a birthday party, the three of us. If he has a significant other and they're getting that serious, I am happy to meet her, guys. I am not going to be the weapon fashioned against her because I just want my child to know she's safe, she's loved, and she has more love than other people do. When other people have 2-parent love, she might have 4. Currently she has 3, she might have 4. And these are the things that I believe my mom was praying for and preparing me for. Because when I finally came home and I told my mom, hey, sasa mom, nikona mtu. Akaniambia, you know, mommy, you need to understand that you now are 2. And when we are speaking to their family, we need to put in prayer and put it clearly that you are 2. Which brings me to my next point. When I did the work of healing and I started to work on myself, I started to understand who I am, why I show up the way I show up as a friend, why I show up the way I show up as a mother, why I show up the way I show up in relationships, why I show up the way I show up as an employee. And I started to understand myself in general as a person and to identify the places where there is brokenness and to take them back to God for us to unpack and say, oh, this is coming, this wound is coming from here. We need to forgive, we need to let go, we need to go through a process where I relearn things that I had taught myself the wrong way. Yeah. After going through all that, I'm going through therapy, guys. I have done therapy like 4 times. So I then started to write down my list. This is all back, I think like 7-8 years ago. I wrote down my list of non-negotiables. Then when I'm based on the relationships that I've had, where did it fail for me when it came to motherhood, when it came to myself, when it came to my needs of settling down and all those things. I started to write a list of my non-negotiables. How can I avoid repeating my mistakes? So that by the time I'm dating someone, if they do not bring forth certain qualities, if I see these certain things that I have picked up from previous relationships, those are red flags. So I took advantage of, I looked back for me to identify things that I either overlooked, let go, or learned about myself and the other person and what was being brought to the table by both of us. So healing myself to make myself a better person for the next person, and also on the other hand identifying things that I neglected or let go or turned a blind eye in previous relationships that I will not do again. So I had a list of my non-negotiables, and one of the things, the one that took the front seat, number 1, and it's written in my diary here, I said that I will not date anyone who doesn't accept my child. Number 2, I will not date anyone whose family does not accept my child. Yeah. And then I continued. There are many. I have said it when I started this video, towards the beginning of this video, that I had ended up with people who were toxic for me, people who are opportunists, manipulators, narcissistic, and I had to identify why they saw me as an easy target. And when I identified these things, I made sure that I focused on finding someone who was good, someone who was kind, and how to identify this in people. Yeah. So that being said, my prayer points now became about that, and I started to tell God, when you align me with my future husband, I also put in my list that I want someone who will marry me the correct way. No having babies out of wedlock. Nataka ukuje unichukue kwetu useme I'm coming for an introduction, I'm coming for dowry payment, I'm coming for a traditional wedding, and then you propose to me and you marry me with a white dress in a location that I like. And that happened, guys. It did. Because for me it was important that I realized that I am worthy of that. Yeah, I am not damaged. Nobody reduced my value in any shape or form. I just had a baby. That's all. My mind works correctly. My body looks just fine. I'm functioning normally, so why should you attach any damage to me? If anything, I just come with more love. A +1 who's very loving. Yeah, so I put down my list of non-negotiables. And after putting down my list of non-negotiables, I started to pray about them and to watch for them. So I switched on the part of my brain. The Bible says, what you feed your mind, right? I was renewing my mind. I renewed my mind by teaching myself new things. And the new things was that I am worthy, and a worthy person, someone who acknowledges my worthiness, behaves like this. Someone who doesn't acknowledge my worthiness behaves like this. And I continued to reinforce that with every person who came my way. I remember one person once told me, sasa wewe na hiyo attitude yako nani ataikuwa? No one will ever marry you with that attitude. And I want to say, I did not have an attitude. I refused bad behavior. So I was gaslit by being told that I'm not worthy of being married. Hello, uko wapi? Where you guys? Anyway, so once that was done, right? Once I had everything set in terms of now my knowledge and my understanding, and I'm asking God for wisdom and to open the blinds from my eyes that I may see, He eventually aligned me. And one of the things I kept praying about is I kept telling God, please God, give me in-laws who will not frustrate me about my child and about me, who I am. Please help them to accept me and accept my child. And that is exactly what God answered. So I am here to say, blending a family, you have to start with forgiveness. You have to. There is no shortcut. If you do not get to a space where you forgive that person and that person forgives you, and baby, it's not on you to push that person to forgive you. You ask God to help them to forgive you for the role you played, and you forgive yourself. You forgive them for the role they played. Then you ask God to help you guys to get to a point where the main goal is just that child. Let align my ways with ways that are respectful and that are good, such that even when your in-laws come, they're not worried about the next person. They don't want to see someone who still has lingering things. And I'm telling you, those prayers my mom was praying were because of this. They don't want lingering things from the past to be a portion for their child. And based on how you move, they will be able to see. Based on how their child moves, they will be able to see. So I want to create a safe space for my husband to know that that situation will never affect our marriage. Number two, I want their situation to never be affected by me. So this thing of people are going to sit down in a bar to discuss the toxic baby mamas, well, that ain't gonna be me. It ain't gonna be me. I am not going to be the one blowing up your man's phone. That's your man. I got my man. So don't be toxic if you don't want toxicity. That's all I'm saying. Shoot me. So number two, please create a situation that even the people, the outside players, can be able to see. Remember, this person is coming with their parents, their siblings, their extended family. They can see, they have eyes. Are you playing games? And I want my child to enjoy her father just as much as he wants to enjoy her. So how then do we get this? Simple. Guys, sameheaneni tu. Mulikosea, nyinyi wote wawili. Ambia tu Mungu awasaidie. Ambia God asaidie ule. Akusamehe na akuachilie. Break that soul tie. And then do the same for him or her. That being said, I don't want to go too much into this. Let me know if you have any questions about blending a family. But I am an advocate for forgiveness and healing. I am an advocate for healing every single day. I am an advocate for Christ and going back to God and telling him to do things that you do not know how to do. All you have to do is lay them on the cross and tell him to help you to figure those things out. And because of that, I will stand here and say that I respect the father of my child, and I respect my husband, and I respect the fact that they are two very grown, mature men, and they can coexist, and I am willing and open to do the same for his family when that happens for him. But where I stand, this is not possible without work, and some of that work means taking things to God. And and for my in-laws, man, you're an answered prayer, guys. Bye.